Their ultimate schizophrenic goal is to plow, pesticide, and genocide this planet into a sterile and lifeless has-been.
What the f does that mean? Oh, we have schizophrenic goals to destroy the planet. That's why we're vegan, everyone. Hey, it's David here at Skinny Vegan Fitness, back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be reacting to an anti-vegan video. I was just checking through my comments the other day and I came across a comment linking me to another YouTube video. I clicked the link and lo and behold, it's an anti-vegan video, some vegan cult video, the vegan kill cult. I had a quick look at it and I thought I'd like to respond to this. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna react to this video, the vegan kill cult. Let's see what they have to say about veganism and let's see why veganism is a kill cult.
Truth be known, veganism is an absolute bloodbath and torture train. The annual number of animals slaughtered and maimed in the name of grains, nuts, seeds, roots, tubers, fruits, and vegetables is absurdly gargantuan.
So we're off to a pretty bad start, and the reason I say that is because this person's just saying that only vegans eat all of those food items.
No one is saying that vegans are responsible for all the untold environmental destruction and animal torture and death associated with mainstream plant agriculture. Everyone can agree that mainstream plant agriculture is responsible for this environmental destruction and massive amount of animal torture and death. However, it's a fact that mainstream veganism does rely upon mainstream plant agriculture. So, yeah, vegans are responsible for their share of the animal torture and death associated with the vegan menu, despite their unwillingness to acknowledge said destruction, torture, and death. Let's continue.
No, everyone in the world eats those food items. Almost everyone in the world. Like, people aren't just consuming animal products alone. There are some people that believe that it's all you should eat, and they are definitely in the minority of the population of the planet. Most of the planet eats a diet that includes both animal and plant-based products. So we're off to a pretty bad start if we're going to say vegans are responsible for every single vegetable and nut and seed grown on the earth. It's just not true. Let's continue and see what else this person has to say.
Farmers routinely unleash an arsenal of deadly weaponry upon squirrels, rabbits, raccoon, mice, rats, possum, groundhogs, ground squirrels, moles, voles, deer, birds, turtles, frogs, bees, aphids, crickets, grasshoppers, worms, caterpillars, grubs, ants, and many, many more, who compete for the nuts, seeds, fruits, leaves, and tubers so sought after by the human herbivore population.
No, no, it's only sought after by the human herbivore population. They're sought after by the population. So although this person is correct in that a lot of these animals, unfortunately, do die due to the agriculture system of a plant-based agricultural systems, it's true that this happens. I mean, you can't argue with that. It's not only for vegans.
All right, New York City, here's the deal. The voluntary phase is over.
And one thing we do have to consider at this point is that the majority of plant food grown on Earth is grown to feed animals in the animal agriculture industries. Not humans. There are around 8 billion humans, but there are over 60 billion land animals that are bred and raised every year to be killed for food.
But would a vegan world actually kill more animals than are being killed today in animal agriculture? Well, let's consider that there's an average of 400 million insects per acre of land. Keep in mind that the vegan faith considers these insects to be sentient and highly intelligent. And according to this vegan literature, it would take 179.1 million acres to feed every single person in the United States a vegan or crop-based diet, which is an odd prediction given that the Department of Agricultural and Consumer Economics at the University of Illinois has recently and thoroughly illustrated that for the United States, principal crop acreage is already over 300 million acres and rising. But for the sake of argument, let's use the vegans' unsupported prediction of 179.1 million acres required to feed the entire United States a vegan or crop-based diet and compare a portion of the intentional animal deaths associated with that with the number of animals killed in animal agriculture today. So this vegan resource claims that currently more than 55 billion land and sea animals die annually to support the U.S. meat supply. So 55 billion. We're not going to count the animals that are shot and killed for threatening the vegan or crop-based menu today. Instead, with the vegan faith's position on honey in mind, we're only going to count the killing of insects occurring from the intentional application of poisonous pesticides intended to protect the vegan or crop-based menu. If we multiply 179.1 million times 400 million, we get this, which translates to this, which is nearly 72 quadrillion animals that would have to die to feed the entire United States a vegan or crop-based diet.
For the industries, for people, for various different industries, but the food industry, clothing industries, etc. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that a cow with the size that they are, or a pig with the size that they are, eats a lot more plant food than a human. And when there are over 10 times the amount of those animals than humans, it's a simple deduction that they're going to eat more plant-based food. Than humans. They're going to eat more of that, and that's the majority of the food we're growing is for those animals.
About 90% of all the soybeans grown in all the world are processed to squeeze out the oil. 100% of that processed soybean oil is already being consumed by humans, even without a fascist vegan mandate in place.
So again, although this happens and although it's definitely bad, the main cause of it is eating animal products. Not eating plants.
Come harvest time, combines and harvesters unavoidably shred millions of living critters who are living and breathing among the crops.
That has been largely debunked, and I can provide the study to that. It's in the description if you want to check it out, but it's been largely debunked because these combine harvesters, they're noisy. It's like an earthquake. And I don't know about you if you've ever dealt with or been close to wild rabbits or wild insects or wild animals, but they run away pretty quickly, right? And a combine harvester is a big, slow, heavy machine. These machines are like very, very heavy, all right? They're big, they're noisy, and they're slow. Animals run away from them. Yes, some of them get caught up, and some of them may, unfortunately, die in that way, and that's really sad. But the majority of them will get away from these things. And that's not saying, I'm not saying I'm pro combine harvester. It's not like if we could find a better way to do this, I would absolutely support that. And I hope that we can do that. And I make efforts to buy local myself, and obviously for yourself too. If you see a problem with that, if you don't want to contribute to these big industrial plant farming operations, then you know, you could seek the alternative to it. But the alternative to it is not to go and pay someone to kill animals on purpose. So to give you a comparison of these two things side by side, or why it's a false equivalency to say, okay, plant farming kills animals, so therefore we shouldn't eat plants, so we should just go and eat animal products. Well, the thing is, driving cars kills humans, right? Car accidents kill humans, a lot of humans every year. But that doesn't mean that you can drive your car into a human on purpose, does it? Because then that has intent, you intend to kill. But we don't ban cars because they kill humans by accident. These combine harvesters, they're not killing animals on purpose, it's accidental.
I'll count down. Y'all ready? 3, 2. Oh. Oh.
One to the right. Out in. Nice. Is that all of them?
So it's not comparable, of course. One doesn't justify the other. A combine harvester killing animals doesn't justify going and slitting other animals' throats on purpose.
You know, there's a good reason why we come out and shoot pigeons. I mean, at the end of the day, it's to help keep the food prices down. I mean, it's the farmer that gets hurt the most. I mean, the big supermarkets will only sort of pay a certain price for stuff, so they can sell it onto us as cheap as possible. But you get sort of 300 or 400 pigeons feeding on a field of barley, you know, for a few days. The money they've lost is thousands. I mean, so we all got to do our bit. People need to understand that why we do this is, at the end of the day, to keep food prices down. I mean, there's people out there on the poverty line. They can only just about afford a loaf of bread. We all like to go out for a nice beer. So yeah, I mean, they have to be shot. They've got to be controlled. There's no two ways about it.
It is a cold, cold heart that can ignore the palpable suffering that's required to bring plant-based foods to the plates of culpable vegans around the world.
It's not only for vegans. This is so funny. There are so many people all over the world that are not vegan that are eating plant-based foods. In fact, even people who are not vegan, the majority of their diet comes from plants, not from animal products. Animal products are, for most people, in a minority when it hits the plate. It's mainly plant-based foods that make up our meals.
Vegetable farmers begin their annual reign of hell on earth by tilling the soil. Tillage kills all sorts of soil life and completely disrupts a healthy soil horizon profile. Each time a farmer tills a field, massive carbon emissions are released from the soil, downgrading soil carbon and quality each and every time. This is the real driving force of global desertification.
So yeah, a lot of what he's saying here is absolutely true, and these massive industrial operations where they do this to the soil and they do this to the land, it's not great. But as we mentioned earlier, the majority of this is being done to grow food for animals. For animal feed, for these animals in the industries, that's what the majority of this food is going for, not for human consumption. So although this person's making a valid point here, they're making a valid point against themselves. It's not against veganism or the plant-based diet, it's against animal agriculture and that industry.
We're at a critical time right now, and one of the biggest things happening is nitrogen in our waterways, red tides, more than 400 of them worldwide. Dead zones are common, but the size of them we have now and the number of them, that's alarming. And this January, along the Gulf Coast, it's wreaked havoc with the oysters. It's also impacted the crabs in California and Chesapeake Bay as well. First, we need to realize something. We're trying to produce 4 times as much ethanol gasoline in 2020 as we did in 2004. And we haven't thought about the unintended consequences from the fertilizer trying to do that. And we're also growing more crops, period. For us to grow a lot more corn, we need to use a lot more fertilizer. And that corn is being used to make gasoline and ethanol. 4 times as much means almost 4 times as much nitrogen coming down our waterways.
that this point stands for.
Then, to keep the vegetable and fruit heathens supplied with their fix, the farmers wage war against nature with the sides. Side is a suffix that means to kill, and boy do they. These vegetable and fruit farmers spray and sprinkle indiscriminate bactericides, herbicides, insecticides, and rodenticides. In addition to conventional chemical warfare, they also attack with live traps, steel traps, drown traps, pistols, rifles, shotguns, dogs, and grain grinders.
Yeah, so these pesticides and herbicides and all these things, absolutely, I agree. It's not good for humans to consume, and it's also not good that it's killing all this life. I totally agree, and I think we could all make a bit more of an effort to try to find foods that don't include those things.
What I've got here is some dehydrated soya protein.
However, for most people, it's almost impossible to avoid foods that have been treated with herbicides and pesticides.
With you today in this latter half of July to talk a little bit about foliar fungicide and insecticide strategies in soybeans.
It's very, very difficult for many people around the world, if not impossible, because of the cost, because it's quite expensive to buy foods that are organic and not treated with pesticides and herbicides. So unfortunately, we're in a bit of a weird position where we can make one step to go vegan and plant-based, at least plant-based, change our diets, and that's doing something very good. But then to go to the extra step, a lot of people would find that near impossible. Whereas to be vegan or plant-based, many people would find that to be totally feasible because most plant-based foods are actually quite cheap. They're the cheapest foods that are available in supermarkets in most places in the world.
You can get away with doing stupid things if your scale is small. But given the scale of corn in Iowa, that's one reason we got a dead zone.
As long as we continue to get more economic return, we'll do it.
Whereas organic vegetables, organic plant-based foods is a bit expensive and a bit out of reach for most people. So it's a problem for sure, and it's something that we can address moving forward as a community, as a society. We can demand foods that are organic, that haven't been treated with these pesticides, herbicides, etc., and the chemicals that he was talking about.
Hey guys, so today obviously I'm talking about organic and when organic is not vegan.
The organic thing, that is something that you can choose to avoid. I'd avoid most organic produce.
Also, regarding how farmers kill animals that try to infringe on the land, infringe on the produce. Well, absolutely, animal-based farmers do that also. Animal farmers do that also, of course. They kill foxes, they kill any animal that comes anywhere near the animals that they are rearing. So this is not something that's only fruit and vegetable farmers are doing. And one more point to make again, just to remind you that the majority of plant food grown on the planet is grown to feed other animals, to kill them and use them for various different things, but mainly food and obviously skin and all these different things like clothing and stuff like that. So if this is a problem that this person wants to stop, then the best thing they could do is to go vegan, because then they won't be contributing to the majority of this, because the majority of this is done for animal feed, not for food that humans would consume.
All this killing is not just a one-time event either. This is an annual cycle of schizophrenic annual cruelty that repeats itself year in and year out, dealing out misery, bloodshed, and environmental havoc and chaos in the name of veganism.
Is that in the name of veganism? As I've said multiple times, it is in the name predominantly of animal agriculture that this is done. Because it's animal feed that is the majority of what the majority of plant food on the planet is grown to feed animals for animal feed, not for human consumption. And the food that is grown for human consumption is not grown solely for vegans, as he keeps calling us. It's grown for the majority of the population that eats a combination of plant food and animal-based food, and the majority of people's plates is filled with plant foods, not the majority with animal foods. So again, it's a strange, real strange video with a real strange message that just doesn't make any sense so far. But let's see if it can make some more sense.
Meanwhile, one pasture-raised grass-fed cow can feed one human being for 3.5 years, while not sabotaging human health with the inflammatory excess of omega-6s, toxins, and anti-nutrients.
Yeah, maybe not this claim. We're not going to get into the science of this. I have the science that I'm reading, the science that I've been reading up on a lot, and the people I listen to, and the doctors and the nutritionists, etc. I listen to, would absolutely disagree with this, and they would say that animal protein is directly linked to a higher risk of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. In fact, even people who are not vegan, the majority of their diet comes from plants, not from animal products. Animal products are, for most people, in a minority when it hits the plate. It's mainly plant-based foods that make up our meals. But let's put that aside for a second. Let's imagine that that's not the case, and that it's not infringing on human health to eat that cow. But it is infringing on the cow's health, isn't it? It's infringing on their life.
Hello, again. Out pigeon shooting, again. On a rape field, again. Protecting wheat behind me, again. Protecting wheat behind me, again.
Something can be nutritionally rich for us, or it can help us increase our well-being, but that doesn't make it moral to do just because it increases our well-being.
So today, a Lee County grand jury indicted Ryan Patrick O'Leary and Sheila O'Leary for first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, child abuse, and 2 counts of child neglect. The evidence in this case is horrendous. With this indictment, the O'Learys are formally charged with the neglect, torture, and murder of an 18-month-old child due to starvation and extreme lack of care.
Like, for example, if we're going to talk about the history of the human race, the big advances we've made have been largely based on human slavery. Like, right all the way back to ancient times, the biggest, most amazing things that humans have created or established on our planet have been mainly products of human slavery. All the way back, as I said, to the beginning of records when they began. So the argument could be made that human slavery increases the well-being of some humans, therefore it's valid and it's moral. But it's not, it's immoral. So although this person may be right, or some people claim this, like it's nutritionally good for us to consume animals and animal products, like it's very, very good for us, well, it's not a sole justification. There are other ways we can get that same nutrition. There are other ways we can provide nutrition for our bodies that don't involve impeding on someone else's well-being, which is what this is doing when we take that cow. Another point to cover here is that he talks about grass-fed and organic and all these buzzwords that these people tend to use. As a society, we can demand foods that are organic, that haven't been treated with these pesticides, herbicides, etc., and the chemicals that he was talking about. Well, even if it were true, that let's imagine in a perfect world, the cow doesn't have all the things that we know they have, like consciousness, self-awareness, pain, families, friends. They don't have sentience. That the cow is just the same as a plant. Let's imagine like they're the same as a plant. But the only way we can have this scenario that this person is talking about, where it's good for the environment, good for their health, all these things, is if they're grass-fed. Well, then you can't apply this concept to the whole world because we don't have the resources, we don't have the infrastructure, it's impossible to feed the whole world on grass-fed organic animals. It is not possible to feed 8 billion people this way. It can never happen. It's just unsustainable. It would never happen. And this is largely why these animal agriculture industries have become what they have become, where they have these horrible, big, huge factory farms and all these things, because they were not able to supply the demand of people, of 8 billion people, doing it this way that this person's referring to. So although it is completely immoral, and I'm never going to ever in a million years suggest that this is a good thing to do, like the grass-fed and this is a good thing to do. We can agree that it's less bad than factory farming. But it's still not viable for the world population of 8 billion people. And it's not viable for those animals that suffer and die. It is still immoral no matter how you rear the animal, no matter what you do with them and give them a perfect, beautiful life before you slit their throat. The fact is that you're always going to slit their throat and take their life from them, and that will always be immoral.
What has that problem been? Well, the pigs root up the corn seed after you plant it.
Wild pigs, hogs annihilate corn, peanuts, beans, virtually any crop on Pritchard's 700 acres. Pritchard is frustrated. He's tried everything to nurture his crops.
To get it done, you need a few basic tools. You need your seeds. Yep. You need your tractor. You need sunlight and water. And apparently you need an AR-15 too. I need a good man with a good gun.
I'm a good man and this is a great gun.
Hal works for 16 farmers covering nearly 100,000 acres.
We don't discriminate, we kill them all.
That plant foods bring to the table. It's pretty clear that vegans do not love animals.
It's pretty, what is that? How is that a conclusion? It's pretty clear that vegans do not love animals. Like, how do we go from that to that? How do we go from what he was just been saying to this? It's such a propaganda video. I don't even know how else to describe it, but it's good entertainment. There's no denying that. What worries me is that some people watch this and it just, it gives them this bullshit that they can then throw at vegans and feel like they've done something, they've learned something new, that this is all really good and scientific. And it's like, no, it's just a YouTube video and that's it, basically. It's a YouTube video by someone who clearly has a problem with the vegans. And it fits a lot of people's agendas that they hate vegans. They're looking for some more reasons to get back at vegans. And this is the perfect video. It fits that troll spot, it fits that spot for the trolls, so they can watch this and have everything that they believe in approved and supported, and then they can use this to share it with all their troll friends and go out and try and take down some vegans.
Vegans do not love people. They know that more animals are killed and maimed through veganism than any other way of eating.
No, that's not true. As I've said a few times now, that's not true. Vegans don't know this because this isn't true. The majority of plant foods are grown to feed other animals, not to feed humans. And as we've been through it again, the majority of people, that even vegan or not, the majority of their food on their plate is vegetable food, is plant-based food. So no, it's not true. It's just, the level of stupidity is just like reaching real high levels right now.
And yet they push harder because their ultimate schizophrenic goal is to plow, pesticide, and genocide this planet into a sterile and lifeless has-been.
What the f does that mean? Oh, we have schizophrenic goals to destroy the planet. That's why we're vegan, everyone. That's why we're vegan. I think that's the end of the video.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you too. Oh my goodness. Now that video has 16,000 views. Fortunately, it's not taken off. It's not gone viral. It's made by a page called Garland Farms. I don't know much about them. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we've covered every point in that video. I hope that was at least entertaining for some of you, and I hope if you are someone who's like an anti-vegan, or you're thinking about maybe going vegan, or you weren't sure, you were here to learn, I mean, I hope this has helped you kind of see and expose some of the nonsense people say and try to excuse themselves for abusing animals and for not going vegan. This is the level that people will go to defend their abusive habits against others who are just trying to help the animals and make people see them as individual, unique beings, like sentient beings that are deserving of life, just like you and me.
We don't discriminate, we kill them all.